Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm gonna talk about Tokyo Override. Literally blanked on the show title for a second. Sorry. Tokyo Override Season 1, Episode 5. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we're immediately picking up where last episode left off. Turns out Kageyama was not as sympathetic as I thought he was. I thought he'd be a little more apologetic. He's just like, oh, wow, you were able to get Hugo to the hospital. I was like, kind of still coming off like such a major douchebag dick. And he talks about it's kind of a good thing you're here because, you're going to try and go back to your hideout at the garage. I was like, well, narcotics is all over that, so that's kind of a no. So even kind of later on poking fun at them being like, oh, do you have any other like garages or any other like places around, which Watari was like, we don't have the resources for that or something like that. We don't have the money for that. And he was just trying to like poke at them. I forgot what it was exactly, but like Watari said something that irked his nerves. Because it was like, I think she was basically saying, we still avoided you despite you being so like all about like and so dogged about trying to like keep your own job or something like that. That I think she was talking about them having their own freedom, because he was saying like, right, you guys up here thinking you're free or whatever, but you're still locked into the system just as much as everybody else is. But yeah, like the reason why he's with Watari's dad is because he went to, I guess, like I said, he probably stopped by the garage first, and that's where Watari's dad was. But anyway, they stopped by the hospital because he's got a plan. Like, obviously, he doesn't want to, like, do anything that'll flag them on the system. So he goes analog, he pulls out a map, and it's like, we've got to pick a spot that has, like, will not be easy for them to trace, and Kai picks a spot which we later on find out is her hometown, which we don't get a lot of insight into. I guess everyone just like scattered around, like, why did it, because that place apparently is like outside the capital, but even then it's like, I think Spoke was like, I've never had a delivery out here. Like, it's almost feels like, even though it's like still technically on the outskirts of the capital, it just feels like such a foreign place, and we never really got into it. The Kai came here trying to like she left to like, she wanted more, but I'm like, I wonder, was everyone else in that facility tagless too, or because she was being bullied as we saw at one point, so that's why I'm like, I think she was already tagless at that point, probably like even being tagless in that area. I guess it's just like it probably got like abandoned and just everyone found their way into town, whether it's by official means or like Kai unofficially, whatever the case may be. Getting into it, they end up taking off, trying to make their way to this spot, and Kageyama kind of explains like his thought process of how he figured like they weren't necessarily the ones behind it, because he's like, right, he, as I talked about it last episode, he figures out like, right, I'm on someone else's like puppet strings, like I've been pointed in a direction because they know Kageyama enough that he will like go charging ahead like a bull, and they knew all they needed was like to like lay out some breadcrumbs. But obviously it wasn't just Kageyama being pulled on a puppet string, so was the entire Suma Garage group as well. But yeah, that's the whole thing of Kageyama was like, because like there was not a single bullet misfire. Like it's like, oh, like what was the whole point? Like his partner was like, oh, if this was a situation, he's like, oh, the fact is they never missed a single shot, and it's like, oh, these people, these dealers that got killed, it'd be the equivalency of us firing at them, because whoever it was had to be proficient. And he looks at the Suma group as like, they're not that proficient. So it's kind of like there were just inconsistencies of like that didn't line up. So he started piecing stuff together, because he even says like obviously the whole point of the whole concert thing was supposed to pin them in, but he's like, the reason why like the dealer went to a different location, he thought at the time was like, oh, I thought they had caught on to us, that they were aware that we were on to them, but it was like, no, like this was all meant to play out, especially because we're supposed to arrive there just in time to see all of you over all of these dealers' dead bodies. And so it's like, how could someone predict that down to the moment? Because even Kai's like, yeah, the only reason why we even fell into this trap in the first place is because I decided to go off on my own to the concert. So like, how can you predict something like that? And it's like, well, the only person who would be someone that they trust, and it turns out it's Iwuji. I'm like, finally getting her name right, because I made sure to pay attention this time. But Yeah, it kind of makes sense too, considering Iwuji's the one that kind of started this season off giving them the job of taking care of the kids. So that makes it even more of like, ugh, that's kind of disgusting and effed up. And I guess that also plays into why they were probably like being like, because at the time we're thinking like, oh, they're being evasive and not cooperating with Kageyama for the purposes of, oh, we're backing up Sumo Garage and we're going to protect them. But it's like, no, you're trying to protect yourself while also serving them up on a silver platter type of situation, I think. But yeah, because I'm not quite sure. Like, they already had a pre-existing relationship with Uwuji, but I don't know like how long they've been working with her before like the first episode when she like left the kids with them, those tactless kids and stuff. So trying to make it seem like she cares about people, but I'm curious what her motivation is for all of this, because Kageyama says like, right, making her position and stuff like that gives her perfect like, anyone official, it draws too much attention, but someone unofficial like the tagless, makes perfect like mules and stuff like that, which is like makes her just that much more evil. And it seems like what's his name, Mikurai, is that his name? The guy who's like, because isn't he part of like the Justice Department? Because she's on her like group, like she's under the digital department or whatever, and I think all of that's kind of being oversaw by the Justice Department. Like, he's sprinkled in here and there, and obviously he's cooperating with her. Like, I guess like she's definitely following his orders, and I don't know if he's the main head honcho behind all of this and for what purpose, because they have this conversation later on about eradicating any, they want to kind of make the system as perfect as possible, and I guess like anything that could disrupt what they, I guess they're like, we're kind of building a utopia in our own way, and anything that can and does go against that need to be eradicated. But I'm like, where does highway play into all of this? Like, what are you benefiting from all of this? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, that's still like unclear. So we saw her be the most evil she has been up until this point, when she's like looking menacingly and so evilly as she's like tracking down our heroes, our protagonists, because she's in a very unique position, because she's able to have access to very specific data that allow, like, there's too much data for like one human to be able to like process and stuff like that. Like, because at any point in time, you're only like seeing like a fragment of that, a fraction of all of that. But she has access to very specific data, the wall data, so any vehicles that go past the wall and stuff like that, so it makes it easy for her to track everybody. So it's like, as long as they kind of stay in where they're going, and once again get rid of and lessen any traceability, makes it easier for them not to be tracked. But head of the Justice Department or whatever ended up giving her access, a lot more access, and she was basically able to control all the automated cars. And I think it's kind of a poignant conversation, poignant in regards of like, oh, it's kind of showing what time they're on, when they're like, oh yeah, people question us using their data and look at it as some kind of attack on their freedoms or something like that. But Iwuji was kind of like, oh, we don't have to really worry about that. I think I keep saying Iwuji. I think it's Iuji. I keep saying Iwuji instead of Iuji. Iuji was kind of saying like, right, but basically most people turn a blind eye to like stuff that's happening all the time. Like, the fact is, we saw it when she got access to everything. Basically, she had all the cars moving a certain way, and it's kind of that thing of, all right, who is it moving in the same direction with everything? And considering how out there they already were, like, they couldn't really do much about it. So our heroes were kind of screwed in that department. But yeah, there were people in those vehicles. Like, some of that's just automatic vehicles and stuff, but like, people are just so used to the automated system. Didn't see anyone like get all up in arms about it. Just like, oh, and so that made it easier for Iuji to track them down and sent those things to attack them. And Kai was supposed to get on one of the bikes so they could get out, or probably distract them with the bikes. Because, well, Kai was supposed to ride one of them, because Kageyama can drive a car, but can't ride a bike. But the problem is, Kai's kind of got some PTSD, because she's blaming herself, because she's like, everything she did last episode, pushing Hugo out of the way, everyone getting hurt, whether it's Watari or Hugo, it's like, that's all on me. And if I get involved again, I'm just going to make matters worse. So she's kind of freezing it. But ultimately, they were able to destroy their pursuers just because Watari did what she did. She just dropped like, what was it, like a had her father drive past him so that two of them would be right beside him, slammed him into the wall, and then I guess kind of dropped something to like it almost like a container. I don't know if it was like what, like I guess this shipment has like a containment container, and they ended up dropping it on the remaining one or two. So got on their bikes and drove away while Kageyama's in the car with Hugo. So now it's all about trying to figure out, well, what do we do? We could go after Iuji, but it's like, well, the fact is, even Kageyama can't really go after them. He is an official, but it's like, yeah, but even then, it's like they have access to all that data, so it's like, who's to say, like, they could make that disappear, so we won't have any concrete evidence, like, given they'd be able to follow our every move if we try to go there, and it's like, so how do we even go about this situation? And Hugo's the one that, rising up from his wounds, has the book, and it's like, right, that guy that Kageyama was after, that smuggler, well, these are like roots and stuff like this, so we could use this to our advantage. I don't remember exactly. Oh, it was basically the guy's roots, how he was able to kind of get around the wall security and stuff like that. So it's like, right, if we can utilize this and take advantage of it, we could like go to where the data is and kind of get like go full storm ahead, grab that data and present it to the actual full-blown digital department, so there's no malfeasance ahead of time of kind of hiding stuff away and pretending like it they weren't up to the shady stuff that they were up to. So, but Watari's dad's like, we could just like run, but Hugo's like, yeah, but like then we'd be running forever, and how long do you think we'd be able to get away with that? So it's kind of like a thing of, we can run or we just kind of face this head on. But at the end of the day, he's like, I'm not going to judge anyone. We're going to sit on this tonight, and then like tomorrow, everyone makes their own decisions. And no matter what decision you make, I want you to know there's going to be no hard feelings about it. So Hugo and Kai had that moment, which I thought was kind of nice, because she was trying to be apologetic to him, but he's like, no, thank you. And she's like, what for? He's like, yeah, because if you hadn't been the one to figure out Watari's being hacked, it's like we would have never gotten to the truth of like all the stuff with Iuji. So it's like, yeah, there's that. And obviously being a part of Sumo Garage, because she was saying like, right, if I had never been a part of it, like none of this would have happened. But it's like she showed spirit with that situation, and he's got the philosophy of, what was it? You choose your path, and whether or not it's optimal, you go full throttle regardless, And she's kind of showcased that, because he's like, right, not many people will be able to handle a bike the way you did. You showcase your skill, you kind of showcase your spirit and your heart type of situation. So, and the whole thing got Kai thinking about everything, about once again coming to the city and just making her way through hacking and kind of being tagless, but also she talked about coming into this place being a blank slate, but she's like, that's not who I am anymore. She was thinking about obviously I think a little bit of what Ayumi brought up about the whole like being rootless and stuff like that, like those roots not holding you down. There is a kind of freedom in that, but it's also like, right, the people she's met along the way. I'm blanking on her name, but the driver from the race in episode 3, plus everyone from Sumo Garage. And I think for her, it's like, this is where I'm kind of going to make my stand. So she decides like, right, I'm gonna see this through, and then she was like, I'll be the one to do this. You guys don't have to. But they're like, all right, shut up. Like, oh, I can't hear you over the sound of the horn. You need our help? Okay. And it's like, yeah, we're in this together. So got to see this through. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us. It's the finale. I haven't looked into it ahead of time. I know there's only 6 episodes, but I don't know if this is like a finale or whether or not it's like a season finale. So we'll see how things shape up and shake out next episode, and how this all plays out, and maybe get more insight into what it is exactly Iuji and like I said, was it Miki? Is it Mikiyari or Mirar? I can't remember his name. The dude that's the head of the Justice Department or whatever that Iuji's like following orders from. So find out what's at the heart of this maybe next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.